Rain gardens. If you've never heard of them, you're about to find out all about them.
Julie Meyer, she's the owner of Gardens of Delight in Northampton, and you were going to tell us all about this this new concept, but it seems like it's been around for a while. It's a rain garden. Now, what is a rain garden?
Well, a rain garden has actually been around before we actually had cities and towns. It's actually just what happens when things rain. There's a slight depression in the landscape, and plants and soil absorb water. So before cities and towns, water would just rain and collect into the soil and go seep into the streams and rivers really slow.
Because soil is amazing. You could put so much water into soil, and its main job is to hold the water and to expand to accommodate all of it. But now you're saying, since the advent of cities and towns and infrastructure, things have changed a little bit.
That's exactly right. So now we have our houses.
And these are like nice green lawns and sidewalks and buildings.
And lawns can absorb rainwater too, but not as much as a little depression in the landscape can if you cut a hole essentially in those hard compacted surfaces.
So this demonstration shows us what happens in our current society when it starts raining. And as we can see, the water doesn't really go anywhere. It piles, it pools, and then this is how flooding happens.
Yeah, and unfortunately with more and more density and more people and more buildings, we're getting more flash floods and more pollution in our waterways.
Yeah, we do hear about that a lot.
Yeah, so in your estimation, the big contributing factor to that is that the world is less earth and soil and more build-up and structures and roads.
That's right, but that's why rain gardens are becoming so popular, because they're so easy to install. Like anybody who can mow their own lawn or gardens in their own home can actually install a rain garden with their own shovel and wheelbarrow. It's just essentially digging a small hole in the landscape, maybe 6 inches deep, and putting some plants and rocks and somehow getting the rain, usually from your downspout, to come over to the depression.
So I guess it would seem to me first that the first thing to think about is location, where you want to put it. And how do you help determine that? It's your downspout, more or less?
You want to put that rain garden near your downspout unless there's something in the way. Then you can actually bury a pipe, or you can actually create other ways to get the water to where you want the garden. You can actually put the garden anywhere you want, as long as it's at least 10 feet away from the house, so there's no water that could actually come back into your basement, for example.
And a lot of the reason that we have flooding and under like your basement floods is for this very reason. There's too much rain, and your lawn can't hold it all, and it starts to go into your home. So you pick a spot a little bit further away, and that's where you start your rain garden. Now over here, you have some plants that would fit in well in rain gardens. Tell us about some of these.
Yeah, you can actually make a garden look very formal. You can make it look more like the wilds of the forest. You can make it look like an orchard. Here I've got some native plants that really would do well. Any native plants are a pretty good bet based on the soil conditions that you have. You look and take a good look at the soil, if it's sunny, if it's dry, if it's clay, and you can make a garden that's based on the conditions that you have. But you can put in grasses, perennials, shrubs that flower, make berries. You can put blueberries that you can eat. A lot of soils like wet feet that like to be in the garden for a long time with some moisture. And rain gardens don't hold moisture, unlike the koi pond. They just keep absorbing water, so you don't get the standing water. It doesn't stay there for more than 24 hours.
So it's not like you're cutting a hole in your lawn and then it's an eyesore. You're making it beautiful. Now, how large should this, I mean, you said 6 inches deep, but how large should it actually be, the rain garden?
That's a good question. It depends on how much water you want to keep. The minimum suggested size is about 10% of what is essentially the size of your roof or the sidewalk or your driveway.
And we're looking at some photos right now, and this shows that it can even be done in what seems to me like a small front yard.
That's right. And here I've got one showing in the front yard and one in the back. But people can do them across the driveway, like in this example here. You can send rain kind of pretty far away, as long as you've got permission, it's on the property that you're allowed to be working in.
Now, how will this benefit? Will you see a difference in your lawn? Will you see a difference in basically the way that aesthetically how it looks?
Sure. I think if you were going to go ahead and put a garden in anyway, this is a great way to save money, because you don't really have to water it. But once you establish it, that water will be coming every time it rains and flowing into your garden naturally.
So it's a great way to help kind of save the environment, do your part just a little bit, and you can have some really luscious looking plants without having to take out the watering can every other day and dump some water into the garden. Thank you so much for swinging by today.
Can I suggest that people go to the Yukon Nemo website to learn exactly how to find the right plants and to site exactly where you want. That'll give you some good tips.
And there's even an app, so you can have your phone out in the garden while you're learning.
Yep, yukon.edu.
You know what we'll do?
The Nemo website.
Perfect. We'll put it on our website, mymassappeal.com, later today. And up next,